Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webcast, Autonomous Response in the Fast-Paced Threat Landscape. I'm Ertuğrul Kara, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at VMRay, and I'm joined by my colleague Fatih Akar, Security Product Manager at VMRay. So today, we're going to cover some interesting topics around security automation and orchestration. We are excited to build a technology alliance with Palo Alto Networks Cortex XSOAR. We'll start off with the challenges of autonomous response against evolving threats. Then we will talk about VMRay's perspective to address these challenges. Then we'll move on to speak about the benefits of Cortex XSOAR and VMRay integration. Right after that, I will hand it over to Fatih for a live integration demo where we're gonna create an incident, deep dive into the playbooks, and we will see it running all the way through. Without further ado, let's get started. To begin with, let's take a step back and understand the challenges of security operations teams to achieve fully autonomous response. The cybersecurity space in general is in a state of overload with pressure on budgets, skill shortages, and too many point solutions. The analysts often cite problems with an overload of events and alerts and complexity of tools. As a commonly accepted practice, automation promises to solve many of these problems, and SOAR is seen as the primary vehicle for this functionality. But as every analyst may acknowledge, security automation is a journey rather than a destination. And SOAR is a useful tool to enable the analyst to skip the repetitive tasks and decrease screen surfing time across different security tools, dashboards. And the goal of this journey is to respond as fast as possible to the threats in various forms, from phishing campaigns, malspam campaigns, and to endpoint malware infection, and many more. Within this backdrop, two main motivations come forward in most of the automation projects. The first one is the improvement of SOC metrics, such as mean time to respond, MTTR, simply measuring how fast the SOC is remediating a threat once it's discovered. Right at this point, automation kicks in to handle repetitive tasks, like running queries for enrichment in various third-party tools, threat intelligence platforms, and threat feeds for reputation lookup. Yet only querying for known file reputations may not be enough for many cases. Every day, while SOC teams are handling thousands of alerts, almost 500,000 new malware or malicious URLs, phishing domains, are heading their way to infect the victims. Malware repositories or threat intel feeds can match patterns with 1/5 of submissions at its best. Remaining portion are at risk of going uninvestigated or force the analyst to take half-informed decisions. The second motivation for enterprises to automate processes is to better handle the overwhelming alerts and eventually to improve return from existing SOC investments. This is the bleeding edge for cybersecurity, right? Assume breach mindset, prioritize detection over prevention, and this is a natural result. A reliable security automation in place can augment your security team to manage alert overload while increasing efficiency. Then the increased efficiency of tier 1 analysts, junior analysts, frees up senior analysts to focus on advanced challenges, and an important point in times of talent shortage and skill gaps. Now, just a quick look at our solution approach to the problems. Here at VMRay, we encourage enterprise SOC teams to follow self-reinforcing, in other words, an iterative approach to automation. Three pillars of this approach laid out on this slide will enable you to reap the benefits and tackle the trade-off between advancing your cybersecurity level while increasing productivity. Rather than assuming the already discovered threat would attack your organization, capability of understanding threats would up-level your SOC. From automation standpoint, this can help tune your playbooks and detection workflows to get protected against future threats. In order to understand, analysis comes into play and actually takes the central role. Automated threat analysis, file analysis in the form of a file, a malware, or URL detonation can provide in-depth understanding around threats. This not only helps you make a better informed decision around a suspicious sample, but also enables a reliable and autonomous response with accurate indicators and verdicts. Here at VMRay, we know that time favors the attacker. And again, automation will save you not only time, but also brings productivity to your SOC workflows. So at VMRay, we enable reliable security automation that brings in the capability of autonomous response. VMRay Analyzer has been specifically designed to operate in SOCs and capable of detecting and analyzing advanced evasive threats. VMRay Analyzer is built to automate threat processing in security operations centers. It provides noise-free reports, reliable verdicts, has built-in integrations with all popular major XDR, EDR, SOAR, and TIP threat intelligence platforms. You can also validate incidents alerts with VMRay Analyzer to filter out false positives and enrich reports with actionable intelligence. And moving forward, I will talk a little bit about how it works, how we detect unknown threats. At VMRay, we are hard at work to deliver our customers with the best-in-class threat analysis platform to analyze any file or URL. Advanced threat analysis and sandboxing is at the backbone of what we are doing. Threats submitted for analysis pass through several layers of analysis. First, VMRay's reputation engine determines if a file is benign, a known malicious file, or unknown zero-day malware. If it is known already, in milliseconds, VMRay returns the verdict. However, suspect files then undergo static analysis, which extracts potentially harmful active elements like embedded scripts, macros, and embedded URLs. And the final step is submitting suspect files automatically to the sandbox for a comprehensive behavioral analysis. This helps us further understand. Modern threat actors are very quick at exploiting a weakness of many traditional sandbox products, like, for example, placing monitoring instrumentation inside the analysis environment. As soon as the malware detects the agents or code hooks, it stops the activity that would reveal a malicious behavior, thereby evading detection. Hypervisor-based monitoring enables you to outsmart this kind of evasive behavior and stay invisible during analysis. When the analysis is complete, VMRay Analyzer automatically generates a detail-rich report, including trustworthy IOCs and threat intelligence. So all these functionalities are available with the out-of-the-box integrations of VMRay. With VMRay and Cortex XSOAR integration, you can be confident in running security automation based on the accurate threat data. There are also playbooks that Fatih will go through in a few minutes. Before handing over to Fatih, here is a snapshot of VMRay's integration portfolio with other technologies. VMRay provides seamless integrations with third-party tools and platforms to empower effective use of all your investments. Now, let's hop over to the integration walkthrough. I'm gonna pass it over to Fatih Akar, our security product manager at VMRay. Over to you, Fatih.
Thanks, Ertuğrul. Hello, everyone. My name is Fatih Akar, and I am the security product manager at VMRay. I lead the advanced threat detection and analysis product initiatives. On top of that, one of my recent duties was to enable our customers through these integrations to pursue their endeavors on automating things in their security environment. So if we can go to the next slide, please, Ertuğrul. I'd like to show you a flow chart where it lays out all the components of this integration between these two products. These things can seem a little bit complex, but in them, it's really easy to comprehend. Basically, on the Cortex side, we have two main points where an analyst can look and just and see the execution of their automation. The one of which is the work plan, where you see the real-time execution of the actions in a specific playbook being executed one over the other. And these actions are sometimes pre-built, sometimes we build them. And in this integration, we've prepared all of them for you. And the integration is when you install the integration from Marketplace, you will be having access to all of these playbooks and the actions. So the actions, when they finish their things, it'll be visible on the work plan side of things. But when they finish and just ingest something into the Cortex XSOAR, they will go ahead and just paste that data into the war room, where you can do some other operations, because these IOCs, the threat identifiers, and some other things are already mapped to the data model of Cortex XSOAR. You'll be able to pivot your other actions and your other playbooks from the data that is in the war room. So every incident has the work plan and the war room sections in the UI where you can look it up. And when you executed a playbook, whether it's the VMRay's playbook or the other playbooks that includes VMRay's playbook, our playbooks will kick in and the actions will be executed against the VMRay analyzer, whether it's uploading a file or URL or ingesting IOCs from VMRay analyzer. This will be basically what's happening in there. So everything that is in VMRay analyzer that is accessible through the UI will be accessible by the API. So all of these things you can see and do manually as an analyst, you will be able to do it programmatically. And in this integration, we try to do the same. And the main 2 points is basically the uploading a file and detonating it, and just uploading a URL and detonating it, and just do the enrichments afterwards, right? So I'll go to the documentation in a bit. So if I can share my screen, I'll go to the Palo Alto's page. And here, as you can see, this is a public documentation of this integration. You can just Google it and go to the XSOAR's website. There are lots of other integration with other security vendors over there, and VMRay is one of them. And in this integration, you might look to the details of the configuration, what are the available actions and commands, and also what do they do, and what are the names of the playbooks and other stuff, right? So as you can see here, uploading a file URL and getting their information and the report from there is easily available with the more than 10 actions that you can see here. And with that, I will jump over to the marketplace. When you go to the marketplace in your XSOAR portal, you'll be able to, when you type VMRay, see the VMRay packs over there. So if you install VMRay Analyzer, all of these things that I'm going to show you in a second will be also available in your own environment. So what are the playbooks that are available out of the box within this integration? When you install it, you will be able to see a couple of out of the box integrations, playbooks, I'm sorry. And with these playbooks, you can do a bunch of other stuff. You can add some certain actions to these playbooks. You can copy and clone these playbooks and just slightly change it and use them in your other workflows. Certainly, the out of the box, there are 3 different playbooks, which one of them is detonating a file. So how this playbook works. So when the playbook is triggered, whether it's manually triggered through an incident or automatically triggered by another playbook, the first action that it's going to be taken now is that the playbook will ask if there is an active VMRay instance which this playbook can use, right? If the answer is yes to that, then in the context of that incident or the input that is given to this playbook, automatically or manually, the playbook will check if there is any file in that context that could be detonated, right? So if there's a file in that context, of course, this file will be sent to VMRay, and then the submission IDs and some metadata will be taken immediately after that submission. And then the playbook will be waiting for some time until the analysis is finished in the VMRay analyzer side, right? This could be generally in between 2 minutes to 4 minutes. Maybe if you configured a little higher amount with a custom configuration, of course, that you can extend that time. But generally, we might expect in that generic polling session, is the submission finished? This will be done for the next 2 or 3 minutes averagely. When there is a result come back as a yes, hey, I finished the result of the analysis, then the playbook will continue to the next step and then get the sample information and get how the analysis went through and get the analysis report. And the playbook will then, if the analysis verdict from VMRay analyzer side, if it's suspicious or malicious, then it will continue to getting the indicators of compromise and also the threat indicators and the threat identifiers, right? All of these data will be posted to the war room of your incident. Again, you don't have to trigger this playbook manually because this is a detonation file playbook. There are generic playbooks in the Cortex XSOAR of detonating file and detonating URL or enrichment of files. This playbook, if you configure the integration, will automatically be included into other automation workflows. So similar thing will follow in the detonation of URLs. The active VMRay instance will be checked. And if there's a URL in the context of the incident, it will be checked. And if still yes to that question, then this URL will be submitted, and then submission metadata will be taken. A generic polling will be taking a place for a minute or 2, and then sample metadata and report will be downloaded by the integration. And then if the URL's verdict is suspicious or malicious, then the indicators of compromises and the threat indicators will be pasted into the war room. File enrichment is a similar playbook. You have to have this file already detonated in your VMRay analyzer. So this will save you a lot of time and performance and other stuff in case you already detonated the file one time. So it will check the hashes of this file. If there is an existing report found on the VMRay analyzer side, then this information will be used and utilized so that the detonation and uploading of that file is already skipped. I have created a zip detonate file in here where it just unwraps the zip file. This is one of the actions added to the playbook, right? If there's a file to detonate, then unzip and then just do all the things that are already shown in the other files. I'll be using this in the demo for some technical reasons. But I'd like to go over to some of the interesting playbooks that XSOAR comes with out of the box, right? One of which is really interesting to me is the endpoint malware investigation, generic version 2, right? This playbook basically takes from T0 to some other point in time where you want to just handle all this incident related to malware, it just looks for similar incidents. And if there are similar incidents, and those will be linked in the XSOAR data model where you can access easily. And the endpoint details that relates to that malware case is going to be pasted in there. And then there are two branches in here where if there's a known if there's any known information about this file, all of your security products that has this file enrichment action, just like we have in VMRay, we will paste that data into that context as well. But if there is no knowledge about this file through the second branch of this playbook, since it's gonna go to the detonate file generic, remember, this is not our playbook. This is a default playbook that XSOAR brings it. But how this playbook works is that if there is any other playbooks that are mapped to this generic playbook, like detonate file VMRay, then all of these other playbooks will be executed once this step comes into place, right? So when this playbook reaches to this level, we will be able to detonate this file automatically. And then all of these other things are going to be following. And if you want to isolate the endpoint and other stuff, these are really cool automation when you have the incident response scenarios, right? A similar playbook that comes out of the box is phishing investigation generic version 2 again. So in here, a phishing can be an email, right? And processing an email is a generic playbook in here. If you have other playbooks that are mapped to this, that will be executed. And since an email is a file, basically, this file will be detonated. And even if that's an email file, this is going to be detonated by the VMRay analyzer, and all of these URLs and the attachment files will be automatically extracted by the VMRay and also detonated. And when this entire analysis is finished, this information will be available here through the detonate file, generic playbooks, and also file enrichment playbooks. So there is a chance that you can attach VMRay analyzer playbooks into many of your other generic playbooks. So with that, I'd like to go over to XSOAR dashboard. This is a similar dashboard since it's a demo environment for us. There's not that much to look for in here, but when we go to the incidents, we will be able to create an incident. Remember that I'm creating the incident manually now. However, as I said, this is just for the demonstration purposes. Everything will be done automatically once you set it up a healthy integration production, right? So let's say an extracted malware case, right? In here. So here we first need to upload the attachment into the context because there's no context in that playbook. So when we go there, I will choose a file that is worthy of investigating the report for. So I'll upload that and I will choose a playbook in here. As you remember, we have the VMRay attached to our playbook's name. So instead of detonate file, which is really similar other than the extraction of zip extraction action, we will go to the zip detonate file. And when I create this case will be shown in the incident view, and I'll go to that incident, and the work plan and the war room will give us much more information about what the action items are. So the work plan section that was mentioned in the presentation is already happening in here. All of these actions that has a tick mark in here are already done. So it just extracted the zip file and sent the file to VMRay and get the submission ID. And it's currently now waiting for generic polling event to finish. This will take some time. And when it finishes, it'll just go to the next things, right? When we go to the war room, we already see some information that is pasted there, the generic information about the hash of these files and what is the property of that file that is submitted. And yeah, certainly this execution is currently continuing. And when this analysis is finished, the playbook will go ahead and then just grab the report and then paste into the war room. So let's wait for a bit until this generic polling finishes. As you can see, one over the other, these actions are going to be completed one by one. So when these actions are completed, you can see that war room is really loud and there's a lot of information over there. Entire VTIs and threat indicators and all the operation that this malware is done are going to be available in the XSOAR war rooms. The discoveries, operations and network connections, and you can look at the IOCs, the registry IOCs, process IOCs, command lines. Everything will be available for you to pivot your other tasks in any investigation. Let's go ahead and see the analysis on the VMRay analyzer side. I'm looking at the zip file, but I need to go to the executable file. Yeah, if you look at this, the executable file already detonated in the analyzer, and this has been analyzed by a couple of different environments, like the dynamic analysis, reputation, and static. And when you go to the dynamic analysis of this file, you'll see a lot of operations listed out there, and whatever you see in the XSOAR portal will be available with more information in here. Yeah, so the extracted configuration. This file turned out to be an NJ-RED variant where we were able to extract the file, and you'll see MITRE-ATT&CK framework mappings on all of the operations that this file is doing, the screenshots that are taken from the virtual machine side where the detonation is happening, and you see that the malware asked for an UAC prompt to elevate its privileges to more successfully execute some malicious stuff in the environment. But other than that, we can go through see a deep dive on the other tabs of this report, right? We can go to the network to see what connections this malware has. We can see only one IP address, probably it's C2 address. On the behavior side, we will see lots of the other stuff these processes are doing. There are currently two processes that we caught, but in these two processes, there is a lot of different host behavior where we can see the processes, the command lines, and the TCP sessions on the network side, and all of this information regarding the requests and the response that are taken from them. And also, we can go to the function log button here to see how this operation was executed. We can even see the parameters of the Windows API call that has been taking place, right? So this will be allowing the analyst to look even further to the operations of this malware if it is needed manually. And let's go to the Files tab, where we can see the files that are either modified, embedded, or dropped in the analysis. So in this execution of the files, there were 8 memory dumps taken to see the different stages of the execution, and all of these memory dumps are going through the antivirus matches and also Yara rule matches to understand a bit more about this execution. So we'll see them in the AV and Yara tab to look for further information. Both the antivirus and the Yara rules are taking this view of this file is really malicious, and one match was on sample file, the other match on the memory dump. And let's see what IOCs are looking like. To see, we are seeing the filtered IOCs, where we think it's just most making the most sense to look for in the further investigations. As you can see, we scored the IOCs as well. So if you unfilter the IOCs, you'll see all of these IOCs that are probably normal, and we mark them as clean so that you don't take automatic actions onto them. However, the filtered IOCs that we think it's malicious is an actionable artifact for your other investigations. So I think this is the analysis side of the things. If we go back to the war room, I would like to show you the action items and how to use them. So basically, when you put exclamation point and type VMRay over there, you'll see all of the actions that are shown in the playbooks and in the documentation are available for you to use in any kind of environment. You don't even have to run a VMRay playbook to do this. In other playbooks context, in other incidents, you might actually manually go through and just get a sample by just writing sample ID and just putting the name of it. It'll just get you all the results regarding that sample into here, regardless of the incident's context. So with that, I'd like to hand it over back to Ertuğrul. This was the end of my presentation, and thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Fatih. It was a great walkthrough session, and thank you everybody joining. Please go ahead and visit vmray.com if you would like to learn more about our products and solutions, as well as you can request a free trial on the website. So thank you again for joining this session.